Michal Hrubec, your favorite pastry chef. Welcome to my channel. Today's recipe is about Madeleines and their typical boule on top. These are unbelievably moist, fluffy and delicious. So if you want to know how to make this amazing French pastry, watch this video till the end.
We'll start by making brown butter. Simply put the butter on the stove and slowly heat it, stirring constantly until all the little milk solid starts to caramelize. Like this. Once that's done, strain the butter. A simple sieve is enough. You can also strain it through a cloth if you want it perfectly clean, but I actually like leaving some of those tiny pieces inside. This is what the butter looks like now. It's still quite hot, so let it cool down to about 50 degrees Celsius. In the meantime, we'll prepare the base batter, where the butter will go later. For that we need brown sugar, honey, eggs, cream, flour mixed with baking powder, salt and our brown butter. Start by mixing the sugar with the honey, the eggs and the cream and combine everything together. I intentionally use a silicone spatula instead of a whisk because we don't want to whip the batter. The key is not to overmix it. So first combine these ingredients and then we gradually add the flour mixed with the baking powder. I like to do this in several additions so I can control it better and avoid lumps. Just add the flour little by little and gently mix it in. Try to work efficiently so you don't overmix the batter. Now that the first part is incorporated, I add the rest of the flour and continue mixing until we get this smooth, glossy consistency. That's it. Now scrape down the sides of the bowl and we're ready for the next step. The next step is the vanilla, so we don't forget it. 1 vanilla bean with all those beautiful black seeds. You can also add a little lemon zest if you want a bit more aroma. Mix the vanilla into the batter and then we'll start adding the melted brown butter, which should be around 50 degrees Celsius. I add it in 2 parts. First one portion, gently folding it into the batter. Work carefully so it doesn't splash everywhere. Take your time and incorporate all the brown butter, which will give our Madeleines that beautiful, nutty aroma. Thanks to the brown sugar, the batter already has this darker, slightly caramel color, and the finished Madeleines will be fantastic. Once the batter is mixed, transfer it into a container and place it in the refrigerator. Ideally, let it rest overnight, about 24 hours, but you can leave it even 48 hours if you like. Cover it and into fridge it goes. The next day, when you're ready to bake, you start by preheating the oven. I'm using a static heat at 200 degrees Celsius. Now let's prepare the mold. I prefer a metal mold because it conducts heat much better than silicone. The famous Madeleine Hump actually depends on the thermal shock, so heat transfer is very important. Grease each cavity carefully with butter so it looks just like this. Then dust the mold with flour. Just regular flour, sprinkle it all over the cavities and tap out the excess. You can sift the leftover flour and use it again. The rested batter looks like this. It's slightly thicker because the butter has solidified. Now we can fill the molds. Fill them to about 3/4 of their capacity. If you fill them more, the batter will overflow and the Madeleines won't have such a nice shape. Once they're filled, place the mold in the freezer. You can keep them overnight if you want, but 15 minutes is enough to create the thermal shock that helps form that classic Madeleine hump. And then place them in the oven and after about 10-12 minutes they're ready. I like Madeleines the most when they're still warm and fresh, so let's take them out of the oven and enjoy. Enjoy this recipe, thank you for watching and see you next time. Ciao.